You know, I've been used to the antics and the performative antics that the Republicans do in Congress. And they've done some shitty things over the years. And yet they always find a way to surprise me. Within the last month or so, when the vote to move the big, ugly, terrible bill that Donald Trump and the Republicans were trying to pass through, the big takeaway and the big element that was going to be taken away would be Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, etc. And as time went on, it was getting increasingly worse. And it's just frightening at the cruelty, the inhumane cruelty that this was possessing. It was bad when it went through the House. And it was even worse when it got to the Senate. After these past couple of weeks, I already know that they are there to serve Donald Trump. I understand that. But some of the people that still somewhat stood on principle caved. Or if they didn't cave, they were bullied, harassed, bad tweets, bad posts from Kim Jong Orange, and they announced that they were quitting. When it went through the House, they had the collective thought of, we know this is bad. Senate, please fix this so it doesn't look bad on us. And the Senate said, got you. And they made it 10 times worse. And again, people within the Senate were like, I don't want to vote for this. I don't want to vote for this. I don't want to vote for this. And they would vote for it. Josh Hawley, the man that raised the fist up to the J6ers and then scoured away like a little bitch when they got into the Capitol. He was doing this performative, I don't like this bill because I don't think we should cut Medicaid and Medicare and things like that. And he turns around and votes for the bill. At no time did I ever think that he was actually going to be principled in that matter. But it's just for the simple fact that they know the damage that this thing is going to do to not only the people he represents, but across the nation. Tom Tillis, who is partially a babyface in this exchange, but again, just gives up. It announced that he's not going to run for re-election, which that is a seat that the Democrats can pick up. But these guys have no principles to stay and fight. They don't have principles to actually stand up against Donald Trump. What does he have on you people that you are so afraid? Are you afraid of a mean tweet or a mean post on Lie Social? What is it? What is it about this fragile, weak little man that frightens you? As I've stated before, If you're afraid of a primary, regardless of what you do, you're going to be out of office anyway. There were Democrats in the 2010, 2012, 13 range. They were willing to lose their seats to get Americans health care. Now, the details of that has been up for debate, and that's what it's all about. The discussion whether this portion of that bill was good, but it got people health care. John McCain is the last Republican that had a true spine when he gave the thumbs down to save the ACA Obamacare. These assholes are just falling in line. So Thom Tillis announces that he is not running for re-election and then gets on the floor and tells the truth, which is why I'm saying he's partially a babyface, because his career's over come next year. But he told the fucking truth of with this disaster of a bill that it is. Of all people, Susan Collins actually voted against it. Amazing. Couldn't believe it. But it wasn't enough because it came down to one person, Lisa Murkowski, the supposed moderate. And she destroyed that title with one simple move. She voted for the bill. And then had the nerve to say that I know it's bad, so hopefully the House is responsible and will stop this. Lisa, you were not held hostage. You could have just voted no. And let Donnie piss and moan. Let John Thune piss and moan. There's no such thing as a moderate anymore. There's just not. You are either just falling in line or you're actually principled. This thing could have ended Saturday night. I shouldn't say foolishly, I had the hope because I knew that this damn thing was eventually going to pass. But I wanted it to be delayed as long as possible so that it could get withered down and just minimize the damage as much as possible. And it should have ended Saturday night. I was so defeated and I was so broken and was so depressed Sunday morning. Like it emotionally affected me. That I'm like, they're all lost. Like I said, I understand that they're there to serve Donald Trump, but I'm like, not one of you, aside from Rand Paul, Thom Tillis, Susan Collins, not one of you could have just taken that extra step and just say, nah, not for me. Lisa Murkowski could have just ended that bill, and she voted yes, bringing it to a 50-50 tie and making couch boy J.D. Vance the deciding vote. But again, the abject cruelty, they cheered, advancing the bill that is going to cut health care for 17 million people. This is what they have become. Fiscal responsibility, family values. This bill is going to add to the debt and is going to ruin families. That is not a conservative. This is gangster shit of what they're doing. And then we had the marathon last night. And I actually thought that there might have been a chance that it could have been stopped again. After Saturday, I had thought to myself that I have to operate with the thought that this is going to pass. But again, the fact that it got as far as it did, where a good portion of the Republicans said they're a hard no. But the Republicans and Mike Johnson can just do whatever they want. They kept the vote open forever instead of just stopping it, sending it back to the Senate, redoing it, sending it back to the Senate, and going through this again. This was arbitrary. It did not have to be done by July 4th. They did this because that's what Donald Trump wanted. There's the acronym going down, TACO. Trump always chickens out. Well, the Republicans are now RAGOO. Republicans always give up. That is a Jamie Raskin original. Posted that online before the vote was finally going in full effect. And the vote to the amendment to have the vote go to the floor to actually do the final vote. And as much as he irritates me, as much as I think he is so feckless, I give Hakeem Jeffries a lot of credit for standing there, giving that speech for as long as he did, because he wanted to make sure that this vote is going to happen in broad daylight. You guys are not going to do this under the cover of night bullshit. So again, I give him credit for doing that. But ultimately, it didn't matter. Massey and Fitzpatrick or Fitzgerald, whatever his name was, from Pennsylvania, they maintained their no vote. But Chip Roy and the others, they caved. They got 2, they needed 4. And again, they cheered. They cheered the bill that is going to cost people their health insurance, school lunches for kids, a social safety net that would help people get health care and not go hungry. They have built a concentration camp in Florida, in the Everglades. Don't call it a prison. It is a concentration camp where they're sending people with no due process, people who are not violent criminals, people who have been doing everything right, have been scooped up and sent to this hellhole. And they're selling merch like it's a fucking amusement park. Aside from it being just outwardly cruel, it's evil. It's evil that we can do this to human beings, our fellow countrymen. Regardless of what I think about somebody that is conservative as Republican, I want you to have health care. I want you to be able to feed your family. And you just spat in the face of even the people you represent to your own constituents. And for what? For Jeff Bezos to get another tax cut? Elon Musk? Peter Thiel? When is enough enough? How much money is enough? We could build a death camp in days But we can't just guarantee health care for everybody. So they can go to work, help the economy, or just be a decent, civilized society. Healthcare is a right. It's not a privilege. And this gigantic shit bill also adds to the funding for ICE. It was like $3.5 billion. It is exploding now to $45 billion. Just an agency is funded more than some countries' armies. And they're putting thugs and, say what you will, allegedly, just my opinion, I think a lot of these people are the J6ers under hoods. So they can get their revenge and not be seen because they're too much of gutless pussies to show their face. They got to be masked. We can't have them be doxxed. But you can show the face of every person that is getting scooped up. This isn't the United States of America. This is Trump's America. And I ask you, why could you have not just voted for Kamala Harris? Why did you go back to somebody who was already an abject failure before and who tried to undermine democracy? Aside from the surface level racism and misogyny, was it just because she had a bad laugh, in your estimation? What is it about this man? What is it about this regime? What is it about this policy that is so great, that makes America great? We're a police state. And now they've just passed this bill that is going to affect millions of people. People are going to lose their health care. SNAP benefits. Rural hospitals are going to close. Prices of stuff is going to go up. It's not going to get better, folks. I know you think that this man is some type of good businessman. He's not. Go look at my TikToks. I've done a bunch of videos about this. Bankrupt 6 times. Every business venture he's ever done has lasted 2 years or less. Your perceived notion of him being a good businessman because if he was on The Apprentice. He was a good businessman because they wrote the material for him. He's charming, he's entertaining. I get all that. He is not fit to be president. Not to mention, those of you that claim to be the party of law and order, you voted for a convicted felon. And don't give me, no, he's not because he didn't spend a day in jail. He also has bought the Supreme Court that gave him immunity, that said that he could be on the ballot even though Section 3 of the 14th Amendment says otherwise. And he is an adjudicated rapist. If the roles were reversed and this was a Democrat, one, I'd be saying the same thing, despite what any of you would think. I'd be saying the same thing. This person is not fit to be president. But let's say it was. You all would be screaming bloody murder. Input any scenario. The meme coins, the plane, illegally firing people, letting Elon do all this, all of you would be out of control, and you would be right. I feel so bad for the families that are going to be affected by this. Friends of mine are going to be affected by this. I've already had a friend express to my group of friends, the person was crying. They're petrified, as they should be. Buddy of mine depends on this because of his ailments. That's at risk. It should not be this hard to be in the greatest country in the world and have healthcare not be guaranteed. And again, the slimy snake himself, Mike Johnson, is trying to implement this as basically, what God would want. And I'm going to trash the Democrats, but say, let's get together. It's July 4th weekend. We can have our differences and still be friends. Now, Mike, your party just ruined the lives of a lot of people. Now, yes, this does not go into effect for another couple of years, but a lot of this shit is going to start immediately. The benefits for the rich people. But again, before you signed that godforsaken bill, you all did the Donnie thumbs up pose. You are a cult. You are not there to serve the people. You're there to serve Donald Trump because you're in a cult. And it's just sad. And it's cruel that you would do this, again, not just to Democrats, but you would do it to your own people. The people you represent, Mike, in Louisiana, they're going to be in a world of hurt, and you did it. Your entire caucus did that. So you all got what you wanted. You got what you wanted. This is what you voted for. Good for you. But understand, when this stuff takes a hold, you can't blame the Democrats. Every single one between the House and the Senate, they all voted no. Because you can't tell me both sides are the same. Do both parties have their problems? Sure. The worst Democrat would not take away your health care. Bar none, they would not. This is directly in the lap of the Republicans. So when these actually go into full effect past the midterms next year, they're going to gaslight you into saying that Democrats want to do this to you. Because that's what they do. It's dirty politics, which is why I want the Democrats to start playing fire with fire. They've proven you can do whatever you want to get your agenda through. So if and when you guys take power again, use it to your advantage. Get your agenda through. Because they're going to do the exact same thing to try to undo what you did the next cycle. But first and foremost, from here on out until the midterms next year, and just to let the people know, the Republicans just took away your health care. They just took away your SNAP benefits. They just made your lives way worse. It's only 5.5 months. It's felt like 2 years already. But just remember, it didn't have to be this way. What has happened up to this point and is what is going forward falls directly into the lap of the Republicans. Don't ever forget that. Don't let anybody gaslight make you think that this is any way, shape, or form the Democrats' fault. And to Mike Johnson and everybody in the House and the Senate for the Republicans, I wish you no peace.